Right now, in 2026, a fact is becoming true that contradicts almost everything you've been taught about shopping for clothes. The premium brand is, on average, cutting corners faster than the budget brand is, not occasionally, not at one company. As a measurable trend across the apparel industry, tracked in supplier disclosures, fabric specifications, and construction audits from 2015 through today. The brands you trust because they're expensive are quietly thinning their fabric, switching their seam construction, and outsourcing to lower tier facilities. At the same time, several of the brands you've dismissed as cheap are doing the opposite, upgrading their cotton, increasing their stitch density, and investing in better construction than they used 5 years ago. The lines are crossing. Almost nobody has noticed, because nobody is tracking both directions at once. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which brands are moving which way, and you'll have a framework that ignores the price tag completely and tells you the truth using 4 numbers anyone can check. Here's the old rule, the one almost everyone still operates on without questioning it. Price tracks quality. Pay more, get more. It made enough sense for long enough that nobody had a reason to test it. That rule was approximately true for most of the 20th century, when premium brands controlled their own manufacturing and budget brands cut every corner available to hit a price point. The gap between the two was real and it was visible. Different factories, different fabric tiers, different finishing standards. That gap has been collapsing for over a decade. And it's collapsing from both directions at once, which is the part nobody talks about. I want to be specific about what inversion actually means here, because it is not simply expensive brands are bad now. It is narrower and more useful than that. On a controlled comparison of construction specifications, fabric weight, stitch density, seam type, a measurable number of premium brands have moved down over the past decade, while a measurable number of budget brands have moved up. The two trend lines are converging. In some specific documented cases, they have already crossed. There are 3 forces driving this, and once you understand all 3, you'll see why this was never going to stay a one-directional story. I'll walk through the mechanism now, and I'll give you the exact framework for checking any brand yourself in about 2 minutes. Force 1. Manufacturing consolidation. As of 2024, a smaller number of large-scale facilities in Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Cambodia produce a larger share of global apparel than at any point in industry history, a direct result of decades of consolidation as smaller factories failed to meet rising compliance and certification costs. Premium brands and budget brands increasingly draw from the same shrinking pool of large-scale facilities because the facilities capable of meeting Western compliance audits at volume are limited in number. The geography stopped being a quality signal because both tiers are now sourcing from the same shortlist. Force 2. Budget brand reinvestment. Several major budget retailers spent the past decade specifically targeting value perception as a competitive strategy. The explicit business goal of making a $25 garment feel indistinguishable from a $90 one in hand feel and durability, because that gap is what drives repeat purchase and reduces returns. This is a documented retail strategy, not a coincidence. Construction investment increased because retaining customers became cheaper than acquiring new ones, and quality is what retains. Force 3. Premium brand margin protection. As input costs rose through 2021 and 2022, cotton prices, shipping costs, labor costs, premium brands faced a choice: raise prices further, which risks losing price-sensitive customers even in the premium tier, or hold prices and quietly reduce construction cost per unit. A documented number of major premium and contemporary brands chose the second option, protecting their price point by reducing fabric weight, switching from sewn to fused construction, or relaxing stitch density tolerances, changes invisible on a price tag and difficult for a consumer to detect without direct measurement. 3 forces, one shrinking factory pool, one group racing up, one group quietly sliding down. That's the entire mechanism. There's a framework that lets you check exactly where any brand sits on this spectrum, completely independent of what it costs. I'll teach you the full version in a moment, right after I show you the premium brand whose decline genuinely surprised me, because I expected this brand, more than almost any other, to be immune. This one matters because of its category position. A brand with a multi-decade reputation built specifically on construction quality. The kind of label menswear forums have recommended for years as worth the price. Should be the hardest brand on this list to find evidence against. In 2016, this brand's signature wool blend sport coat used a fully canvassed construction, the labor-intensive internal structure, built from a floating layer of horsehair canvas that allows a jacket to drape naturally and improve with age rather than degrade. By 2023, the same product line, same name, same price bracket, had shifted to a half-canvas construction, a hybrid method that uses canvas only in the chest panel and fuses the rest. A documented industry-wide cost reduction technique that cuts labor hours significantly per unit while remaining difficult for an untrained eye to detect from the outside. The price did not move down. The price moved up 22% across that same period. The construction moved in the opposite direction. This is not a brand collapsing. It is a brand managing a quiet trade, less labor-intensive construction, same price trajectory, protected margin. The customer paying more in 2023 received less than the customer paying less in 2016. Now, the framework. 4 numbers, completely independent of price. Run this on any brand, any garment, and you will know more about what you're actually buying than 95% of shoppers walking into the same store. Number 1. Fabric weight, measured in ounces per square yard or grams per square meter. Almost always listed in the materials section of a brand's product page, even when not printed on the physical care label. Heavier fabric within the same fiber category means more raw material per garment, and, generally, slower wear. Track a brand's own published weight on the same product category across multiple years using the Wayback Machine, and you have a direct quality trend line specific to that brand, not an industry guess, their own number over time. Number 2. Stitch density, measured in stitches per inch on the main structural seams. 8 or above signals commercial-grade construction maintained across most premium and many improving budget lines. Below 8, regardless of brand tier, signals a cost reduction decision at the construction level. Number 3. Seam and interfacing method. Sewn-in interfacing and flat-felled seams represent the labor-intensive, durable choice. Fused interfacing and serge seams represent the faster, cheaper choice. This is checkable by turning a garment inside out and looking directly at the seam finish. No tools required. Number 4. Country of origin and facility tier, cross-referenced against published supplier disclosures where available. A growing number of public companies now publish supplier lists as part of sustainability reporting requirements. If you can find a brand's supplier list, you can often find out exactly which facility tier produced your specific garment category. Run all 4. A brand improving on 3 or 4 of these numbers over time is the budget rise side of the inversion. A brand declining on 3 or 4 is the premium decline side. The price never enters the calculation. I have no sponsorship or financial relationship with any brand named in this video. Here's a brand quietly doing the opposite of what I just showed you, and it's a brand most people still associate with a specific, less flattering reputation from a decade ago. I'll be honest about where this brand started. In the early 2010s, this retailer's standard line was a frequent target of fast fashion criticism, with documented complaints about thin fabric, weak seams, and garments that visibly degraded within a single season of normal wear. If you avoided this brand based on that reputation was earned at the time. Starting around 2018, internal restructuring shifted the company's sourcing strategy toward longer-term supplier partnerships rather than the lowest bid per order model that had defined the previous decade. The explicit strategic rationale, stated in their investor materials, was reducing return rates by improving perceived quality and fit consistency, belied the framework. Fabric weight on their standard cotton t-shirt. In 2015, approximately 4.8 ounce, genuinely thin, consistent with the criticism at the time. By 2024, the same product category, 5.6 ounce, a meaningful increase in raw material per unit. Stitch density on their standard denim line, 7 stitches per inch in 2015 up to 8. 5 by 2023, crossing the commercial grade threshold that it previously sat below. Seam construction on their outerwear. Surged interior seams in 2015, flat-felled construction introduced on their mid-tier jacket line by 2022. 3 of the 4 framework metrics moved upward over 9 years, on the same brand, at largely the same price point. The reputation has not caught up to the data. Most consumers are still shopping this brand's 2015 reality in 2026. That gap between what a brand actually is and what people still believe it is exactly where the inversion becomes invisible to the average shopper, and exactly why this video exists. This next one is the part of the story almost nobody outside the industry ever hears, because it came from the inside on the record, by accident, in a 2019 earnings call, a recorded, transcribed, publicly available document. The chief financial officer of a major premium apparel company, when pressed by an analyst about margin expansion despite flat unit growth, stated that the company's strategy involved what he called engineering cost out of the product while protecting brand equity perception. He did not say lowering quality. He used the phrase engineering cost out of the product. That phrase is now the precise on-record description of exactly the mechanism explained earlier in this video. Fabric weight reduced, construction method downgraded, price point protected, brand image untouched, because the customer has no way to see the inside of a seam from a store display. That brand's gross margin expanded from the high 40s to the high 50s as a percentage over the following 4 years, according to their own annual filings. The fabric weight on their core knitwear line dropped from a documented 280 grams per square meter to 240 grams per square meter over the same period, a 14% reduction in raw material on a product line whose retail price increased by 31%. This is not speculation about corporate motive. This is a corporate officer on a recorded call describing the exact strategy in his own words, followed by the exact numbers that strategy produced. The warmth you feel toward a premium label, the trust built over years, the belief that the name on the tag means something stable, is being actively managed as a separate asset from the actual construction of the product. Those two things used to be the same thing. The 2019 transcript is the moment they were formally described as separate, Dolly the framework to one more brand, a budget brand, and the clearest proof point in this entire video, because the inversion completed here faster and more visibly than anywhere else on this list. Fabric weight on their entry dress shirt, 6.2 ounce in 2017, 7.4 ounce in 2024, a 19% increase, moving this specific product from below the commercial durability range into solidly within it. Stitch density, 7.5 stitches per inch in 2017, 9 stitches per inch in 2024, now exceeding the stitch density of several premium brands' equivalent products measured earlier in this video. Seam construction, fully surged in 2017. Flat-felled main seams introduced across their core shirting line by 2021. Run the facility tier check. In 2021, this retailer published a supplier disclosure listing a primary shirting facility in Bangladesh holding RAP certification, the same compliance tier required by several of the premium brands referenced earlier in this video. Same compliance standard, same facility category, a fraction of the price. This brand has now crossed 3 of the 4 framework thresholds that define commercial-grade construction, on a product that, 9 years ago, sat below all 3. The line moved up. It is no longer below the premium brands declining in this video. On stitch density specifically, measured directly, it has already passed 2 of them. Plot every brand from this video on a single timeline, framework score against year, and the crossing point is visible and specific. The premium brands declining in this video moved from framework scores in the 8 to 9 range down toward 5 to 6 over roughly a decade. The budget brands rising moved from scores in the 3 to 4 range up toward 6 to 7 over the same period. Somewhere in the 2020 to 2022 window, for the specific brands measured here, those lines physically cross. This is not every brand in every category making the same move at the same speed. It is a measurable, accelerating trend visible the moment you stop reading price tags and start reading specs. As promised, 3 budget brands currently mid-upgrade, right now, in 2026, based on the most recent fabric and construction data available at the time of this video. If you're shopping on a budget today, these are the names worth tracking. The first is a value tier basics retailer that began a documented fabric weight increase across its core cotton line starting in 2023, with stitch density improvements following in 2024, still early in the upgrade cycle, meaning current prices have not yet caught up to the improved construction. The second is a department store private label that shifted a portion of its production to RAP-certified facilities in 2024, with visible improvements in seam finishing on their most recent product runs, an upgrade still rolling out across their catalog rather than complete. The third is an online-first basics brand whose 2025 supplier disclosure showed a new manufacturing partnership with a facility tier previously reserved for several mid-premium brands. Construction improvements that have not yet been reflected in a price increase, making this the single best window of opportunity on this entire list. Delay the 4-number framework to each of these yourself before you buy. The upgrade window on a brand like this does not stay open indefinitely. Once the construction improvement becomes widely known, the price typically follows within 1 to 2 years. The system changed direction. Almost nobody told you. The price tag stopped being a reliable signal in either direction years before most shoppers noticed, and it will keep drifting in both directions as long as nobody is checking the 4 numbers instead of the 1 number printed on the tag. You now know how to check: fabric weight, stitch density, seam construction, facility tier. None of it requires the price. Which direction surprised you more? The premium decline or the budget rise? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. The people who check the 4 numbers before they check the price are the ones who won't be caught on the wrong side of this inversion. You're one of them now. Next video. I'm running the full 4-number framework on 5 luxury brands above $500. To find out how many of them have actually inverted too, link in the description.